episode of Gray Magnolias. Um, it's been a very, very long time. Honestly, it's life's just been lifing, um, and my reading has been non existent till recently. So, I thought I'd just hop on here and kind of give a couple reviews and what I'm hoping to read if the flow still flows, because sometimes I'm just like, I don't know, just so in my head it's hard to like get into something. But I want to start off with like what's freshest in my mind is Written in Red by Anne Bishop. A little bit of how do I start this? So I was scrolling on Instagram and I came across this little, like, it was another podcast. I don't know the name or the creators or anything like that, but they were saying how Sarah J. Smith's series, no, Sarah J. Smith, Sarah J. Maas, sorry, um, how it is very similar to a series that came out in the late 90s by Anne Bishop called the Black Jewel series. And I don't ever want to read Sarah J. Maas. Sorry if you like her, if you like her series. I don't want to support her, and I just don't. Like, from what I've, like, reviews and stuff like that, I just feel like it'd be too much for little satisfaction for personally for me. So when when I heard about Anne Bishop and this Black Jewel series, I started investigating and digging. I didn't read too much of the synopsis because I realize I do much better reading when I go in blind. Obviously, I know like the genre, which is usually has romantic elements to it. Um, and I try to read the back, so I'm not like, okay, what am I reading? But then besides that, I try to not look at anything because it always discourages me. It's happened to me time and time again. Like, I'm really excited for a book, I look into it, and then it's just terrible. Like, I just find it terrible. Like, I see right away the thing people like are critiquing it about. For example, another perfect example, um, the thing that like totally got me back into like out of my reading slump was Ember in the Ash by Sabaa Tahir. And sorry, I like to chatter a lot. So I saw it at my local thrift store for $1. Um, and I was like, and I looked up Goodreads, and the reviews were like, eh. And I was just like, like I really want to read fantasy, but it's like so hard for me to get into it. So hard. And then the next day, Reading with Rachel here on YouTube, I'll link her video down below, did a video with her husband about like how much they love Ember in the Ashes, and why like you should read it. And I was like, wait a second, that is the book I just saw at the thrift store for $1. And I watched like not even 5 minutes of the video, but I know they were maybe going to be a little. The video is spoilery, so I mean, if you've read it, if you don't care about spoilers like that, it's nothing. It's nothing major. There's so many twists and turns. Anyways, so I go and pick it up. It's still there by chance. Got it for $1. It was like in immaculate condition. I have it packed away already since I read it, and it was such an experience. That thing consumed me. God, I don't even. I think. God, I finished the first book in a week for sure. Like less than a week, 4 or 5 days. Most definitely. I couldn't put it down. It was so. I'm not gonna say because it's so. It's not complex, but like it's a lot of political intrigue, very violent. It's supposedly YA, but I personally disagree because it was so tragic in that book. So tragic. I wept so much. I just, it was like, is there any light at the end of the tunnel, or is this just like, just gonna end and just shatter me? It did. But, so I read that. Um, my local library app had book two because it's a quartet they call it. So I own book one physically. I checked out book two and 3. And I did audio. I started doing audio for book 2 and 3. Really good, really well done. Um, a lot of POVs, so I'm not sure. I love that, but some people don't. Um, and then by chance, since I think it's because um, Penguin is coming out with like a new like box set or something like that in paperback. Rachel says it in her video, like they're getting it gifted. So I think that's why every book was going on sale. And I just, my library didn't have the fourth one. I was like, I don't want to have like any kind of gap between reading this because it was just the twists and the turns. And like, I remember I was listening to it and I went to give my husband his breakfast and I was chewing on a piece of bacon, turkey bacon, and I was like in tears. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "I can't take any more tragedy. Like, these people are suffering so much, and it was just breaking my heart." Like, it was like, no, and it was like one thing after the other. It was an excellent, excellent read. So then I like desperately need the fourth book, and it's on sale for Kindle. It was like $1.49. I was like, yes, got it. Maybe $1.99. Regardless, it was cheap. I got it. I devoured it. And I I thought this book was gonna, not even a book coma, like book depression, book like call like 911. Like it was just so, I can't even I, I can't even put into words. I laid in my bed. It was like middle of the night. My son was sleeping next to me. My husband was about to get up to do his thing or whatever. And I was just sobbing through the last 3 chapters. It is just tragic. Like, you have to know this is tragedy after and I knew one person who was going to pass. Even though I knew I wasn't prepared, it was just tragedy after tragedy till the very end. And I was like, okay. And I mean, like, there is a happy ending, you know, there is peace, there is a very dim light at the end of the tunnel, in my opinion. Um, but it was excellent. It was excellent. And then I came out to tell my husband that I finished it, and it was like this deep, you know, you like cry, like, oh my god, or like you're like, I don't know. It was like I haven't. I'm like I've lost the words. I haven't cried like that with a book since I was young because I was like a big book crier, like weeping, sobbing, but like it shook me. Like it was just so. My husband was being such an ass, but funny. But I would like cry and he would like disappear. I don't know. He's being silly. Overall, I gave that book 4.5 out of 5 because there was some elements that even I was like out loud. I was like, "Bitch, get it together. This is ridiculous, ridiculous." So yeah, I get that's kind of like I was so grateful for that book series. I've loved that series. Highly recommended. The villain is just awful, awful. You want to just wish the worst on them. They do have, no, they don't really have redemption, but like you kind of even sympathize for them. When I started sympathizing for her for a second, I think it was in book 3 or 2, I was like, what is happening? I cannot sympathize with this villainous, like, evil person. So that got me out of my book slump, right? And then um, I was like, okay, I need to get to stick on this train. And so I decided to pick up Elisa Claypass. And I've, I love the Ravenelle series. That's when I first started. Maybe I read her back in the day when I was young. I can't remember at all. But I read, I have my computer next to me right now. So I read the Ravenelle series, which is amazing, amazing. Um, the first book, I can't stand her. Winterborn, amazing. I read that twice. Devil in Spring, I read that 3 times, which I am not a rereader, not. Um, and then uh, which is the fourth one? Hello Stranger was good, but I was actually a little disappointed. Like I feel like it could have been better. Um, Excellent. And Mary J. Wells, voice narrator, is the creme de la creme. Like she's amazing, amazing. Um, and then Devil's Daughter, so good. Wes is, if you know, you know. You meet him book one, and he obviously is throughout each book, and every time he is like perfection. And when it was his book, it was so good. I wish it was longer, like 50 million pages longer. And then I did read Chasing Cassandra, which was really, really good too. And the only one I haven't read is Devil in Disguise. So, and kind of like going through my TBR and kind of what do I want to read. And mind you, I have like a million books around me. Like there's a pile here and a pile there, and a lot of it's been put away. And I think I have like 600 books on my Kindle as well. I know I have an issue. I love my issue though. And I've also read um, Dreaming of You. If you know, you know, amazing. And then I was like, okay, so Wallflower is kind of like before the Ravenels, like it kind of crosses over, especially with Devil in Spring, because Devil in Winter, that's Daddy's book. Um, so I was like, okay, I really want to read that. Since I've only read that one. So this one's like the prequel. I don't know if like this character comes up later, but I read. Let me go back because now I've lost it. Because I was like, okay, I want to read the Wallflower series, and then I want to reread Ravenels because on my library app they have almost all the audiobooks, and I was like, sold. And then most of them are Mary J. Wells, and the other audio narrator that does some of them is really good as well. So I read again The Magic, um, and I think, how do I put this? It is in my opinion, it's two love stories going on at the same time. And I preferred love story number two than love story number one personally. It's a friends to lovers, childhood friends, and it's like class differences. And the girl is of higher class, and the boy is a stable boy, but then he makes something of himself and kind of like comes to revenge. It's about revenge, and I'm not really good because I don't want to like say exactly and go into super detail, but I was very irritated with McKenna, which is the male main character. I didn't like his vibe for a little bit, and then I was totally on Elaine's side, and then I didn't like her, but I much preferred her sister, which is Livia, and oh my god, I forget the guy's name, but he was like an American, and I loved their story, and I wish I knew more. But overall, I mean, like, it was fun. I still loved it. Like, the writing style of Lisa Kleypas is, like, it's like an old friend. Like, I love it. It's, like, super steamy on page. It's very passionate and very just, like, you know, very expressive. The groveling, like, that's why I love historical romance, because it just adds, like, this other layer of romance to it that is just, I don't know, amazing. So then I was like, okay, I'm still hyper fixating on, going back to the beginning, I'm still hyper fixating on Anne Bishop. And I can't find the first book of the Black Jewel series anywhere on my like lending apps, which was like really frustrating. Mind you, the book came out in 98, so maybe that's why it's kind of like, it's not really popular anymore. The whole series is like 13 books, but it's different. So the first original is like a trilogy, and then there's another part. I think it's just like the same world, different people. And I think I could be wrong. So I was like, okay, so I have it on my list, hopefully thrift and do some eBay shopping. But I actually found one of them. It's the Invisible Ring, which is in the, I don't know where it falls, but it's not part of the first trilogy where I want to start. And our local Barnes and Nobles was going out of business. They were just moving locations, but they were trying to condense their inventory as much as possible to move because they only got down to 50%, which, I mean, that's amazing. God, I didn't realize how expensive like books are because I'm an avid thrifter. I mean, like for example, here, my local thrift store had a ton of classics. I got the Odyssey, 50 cents. I got Jane Eyre. Actually, no, that was at the thrift store, but I think it was $1.99. And then Pride and Prejudice, 50 cents. I mean, come on. Like, yes, and I'm more into things that aren't trending, so I guess that helps as well. But they had a mass paperback section for $3, so that's still pretty excellent in my book. And I got some Beverly Jenkins, which I've never read, but I've seen a ton of her stuff, or people like that I follow on Instagram that they love. And I'm not sure if I got any of the ones that people talk about, but I got several. I got one, two, three, I got four of hers. And then the second time we went, because it was like the day before closing, we were hoping again that they lowered the like percentage. They didn't, which is fine. And then I got this again. Back to this, Written in Red by Anne Bishop, and it's book one of her Other series. It's called The Novel of the Others. This was so good, so good. So we have our main female character, Meg Corbin. She is a Cassandra Sangue, or blood prophet. She can see the future. If you cut her skin, a gift that feels more like a curse. Meg Controller keeps her enslaved so he can fully access her visions, but when she escapes, the only safe place Meg can hide is in Lakeside Courtyard, a business district operated by others. And then we have our main male character, shapeshifter Simon Wolfgard, last name saying it all, is reluctant to hire a stranger who inquires about the human liaison job. First, he senses she's keeping a secret, and second, she doesn't smell like human prey, which he's very bothered about that throughout the whole book, which is really cute after a while. um, Yet a stronger instinct propels him to give Meg the job. When he learns the truth about Meg, that she's wanted by the government, he'll have to decide whether she's worth a fight between humans and others that will surely follow. So that's like the back. And this was such, even though this came out in 2013, I think. And I've read, that's kind of like my OG thing is paranormal romance, like vampires, werewolves, love. And this has like 1% romance, like not even. It's like suggested, barely actually, because he's still very confused. But I think it's gonna grow throughout the series. But it was such a refreshing take on vampires, werewolves, bear shifters, wolf shifters, crow shifters. Like, it was amazing. So it's pretty much that, like, before there was humans, there was actually others. And she has like a whole, which I was like very thankful for. I read it. Geograph. Oh my god. Geograph? I don't know. So Namid is like the creator. And then there's continents and land masses, which is very different. It's kind of like what we have now, but spelled differently, honestly. So there's Africa, there's Cel Romano, Fidel, Fingerbone Islands, Storm Islands, Thasia, which is where they are on the continent they're on, Tora, Chin, Britannia, Wild Britannia, and then there's all these other like provinces and stuff like that. And the days of the week are even different, which was pretty cool. There's Earth's Day, Moon's Day, Sun's Day, Wind's Day, Thigh's Day, Fire's Day, and Water's Day. And then there's even like little map of the courtyard and just how everything is sectioned off. So the others came before the humans, like I was saying. They gave them all the power and the strength, and they were always like killing off the humans to try to colonize their land because the others are the natives of the land. They're called the, what are they called? I actually really liked. It's everywhere. I should find it. Biscuits. Oh, Terra Intgene. So that's what the natives are called, which I really liked. And so they were always fighting the humans. The humans were trying to colonize them. So it's kind of a little parallel to our history as it is. But after, time evolved, humans created power and electricity, but the natives control the water source that creates the power. So they were still like always top dogs, like always the top predator. And just over time, humans invented this, but the Terra Indigene wanted that. So then they kind of complied to, or were okay with, or maybe that's not the word, to have the humans on their land by like restrictions and like area restrictions and all this stuff. So, but then there's courtyards where, I mean, I don't know, courtyard sounds small, but it's honestly like really big. It's several hundred acres. So, like, this is the courtyard, right? And there is a section of like where humans, because this courtyard that the book is based off of, the leader, which is Simon, he's trying to incorporate humans mainly to just kind of like learn from them and just observe them, to kind of see like if they're really trustworthy, can they live together, can they, and all that stuff. And so he has businesses that, like, he owns a bookstore, which I thought was pretty cool. And then there's like oh, I forgot the bookstore's name. It was so good. HGB, I remember that. Oh, biscuits. What is? Can you tell I watch a lot of Bluey? Oh man. So the restaurant is called Little Bite, which I thought was pretty cool. And then, it should be at the beginning. HGB. Oh, okay, here we go. Sorry. Really? I just really want to say the name because it's so huge. No, HGR. HGR. Oh, I can't. Maybe I'll think it. Maybe it'll come to me. Oh, wait. A Little Bite. Okay. Oh my god, it's gonna drive me nuts. Oh, Howling Goodreads. Okay. It's so cute, right? So he's just trying to, it's kind of like an experiment almost, because other courtyards are strictly other, like they don't allow humans, they hate humans. So where am I going with this? But yeah, so there's that, and it's just very intricate. There's elementals, which they're scared of them. They can obviously control the weather, and there's this whole aspect. Let me not get ahead of myself. So yeah, it's just Meg running away from her controller, and she sees Simon in a prophecy. She finds him. He gives her the job as liaison, which she's actually working in the mail room to help distribute all the mail around the courtyard, which I don't know. I think maybe an average person would find most of what was written boring. I mean, this is like almost 500 pages. And a lot of it's like the day-to-day life, what they do, her sorting the mail and, really connecting with the others. And they're like, wow, you really care that I get my mail or not? I know, super basic, but it was so, 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 so good. And they're trying to hunt her down. Then her wanted posters put out, and he finds out what she is, and he's like trying to protect her. And like it's like a very found family, and I love that element in anime and stuff like that. So I love it in my books too. And everyone wants to take care of her, but they don't know how to take care of a human. But she's not really human because she's a Cassandra Sangue. Really, really good. And I actually read this in tandem with the audiobook, which is terrible. Very robotic. It's not done by like AI or anything, but it's just very, very like dry. She did a good job. I'm not saying she did a bad job, but for example, I was actually, talking to myself about this, but so Simon has a very deep voice, sort of, because he's a wolf or whatnot. But then there's other wolf characters, which, I mean, I'm not saying a wolf can't have a feminine voice or for being a male or anything like that, but it's just not what, I mean, they describe how they look. I mean, Henry, which is a bear shifter, she did a good deep voice for him, very slow, like wise voice. And the crows' voices were very like crow like crying. That's one way to describe it. Um, so the other voices, it's like it just didn't match. I'm just gonna leave it like that. But it really made me like retain the information. Like I'm a visual reader. Like what I read, I can envision. Some people can't. At least I think that's what my brain is doing. But I felt like I read and enjoyed way better reading in tandem. So, um, I again trying to be like a budget friendly here. I happen to snag this for $3, and I do want to add it to my collection. But I requested the whole series at my local library, which it's in transit, but I hope and pray that it is um, at my location today. Hold on, I want to see. So I'm gonna finish reading this because all the audiobooks are on my local library app, which I'm really happy about. And then after that, I am going to read another series. Or is it, okay, so it's Lake Silence, which is another series in the other universe. So I'm excited to read that. It seems like kind of like a murder investigation fiction. Um, I don't. I'm assuming there's going to be a romance in here because he's like very protective and attached over her, like Simon to Meg. So I'm assuming it's just gonna be very slow burn. But one thing that I enjoyed, like Meg at the end, Meg got hurt. That's not really spoiling because she gets hurt plenty of times. um, but he gets so upset. He's like, "If you hurt yourself again, I'm gonna eat you." And I was just like, "Oh, that's so romantic." And I was like, "This is almost at the level of like, where's my wife?" Um, or I forget what else that I really like. I forget. But yeah, I highly recommend. I love her writing style. I don't know, like it just like in comparison to And Burn the Ashes, which is not in any like there's no similarities whatsoever. But that was an excellent read. I had some qualms which like really frustrated me, and I felt like some things were a little too dragged out and repeated. Where it's like, okay, you didn't listen, you're doing it your own way, but you fucked up. Like, can you just listen to someone for once? I mean, I think it wouldn't have hurt the book. um, so, but like, it was so tragic. Would I reread it? I don't think so, to be honest. Like, I thought it was gonna go into like a really dark place afterwards because it was just so. I was really sad. I think I almost started crying again like a day or two afterwards, just out of nowhere, just thinking about the tragedy of it all. But with this, it was like I loved every element of it, every aspect of it. It was like a solid five, honestly. So written and read, and it's like pretty fast paced, and there's a lot of POV throughout the chapter. Every chapter is not someone's POV. So we have Meg's POV, we have Simon's POV, we have the detective Monty who tries to build a relationship from the humans to the others, like, hey, you can't count on us, we will help you. Um, we have a POV of Jester, who's a coyote shifter. We have POV of Tess, who I'm not gonna give away what she is because it's pretty fun to find out. We have a couple POVs from Henry's perspective, which she's the kind of like the spiritual guide, and he's a bear shifter. I think those are all the POVs we get, but still, like, I know every character. I know every character. I know how they are and all this stuff. And it was, even though, like, the little side characters of, like, the other humans in the courtyard and stuff like that that work there that became part of Meg's web of, like, friends and family and stuff like that was really, really, really good. It's just so good. It's so good. I'm so excited to um, get my hands on the other ones because I finished this now 3 days ago and I am dying to get back in because I'm about to go into my reading cave, which is just a couch, but I can't wait. I can't wait. So good. So yeah, I think that's enough chit chat. um, and yeah, I think I'm gonna kind of. This is probably like gonna be the longest video that I put out, but I'll put like little short ones or like little quick reviews or hauls and stuff like that. Because even though I have a lot, like almost all of my books packed up, I keep finding them, and what can I do? If I could, I would take every book home with me that I want to read, of course. Strictly fiction in this house. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.